Okay, a transcendence function when you're in the environment, don't want to give up on the environment, or I'm sorry, do give up. You're in the environment, it's a weird thing. You give up on the environment. You don't want to be rude. However, the person with you or opposed you in the environment is talking about what you want in terms of sex. Um, so, anyway, the spiel, the way that it works, is that you do this beat down slave, gender bending a lot of the time thing. Kind of understand the other side if you're a guy or if you're a girl. I don't know what you do. Hasidism has a good way of addressing that. I hate Christians. You go through the MK Ultra thing after being the beatdown slave, survive that weird medical play, Nazism, white supremacy, religious blasphemy stretch, to come out the other side now. And what you find out, even though you're progressing, is that then once you reach this whole slave thing, or this whole goddess thing, basically what it means is that the relationship between these two things is a kind of conditioning. The conditioning just continues. Oh, well, now that you're that, oh, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen? Well, now that you're that, we're going to do more of the same. And it just hits you weird because your need, we'll say, is different from your want. You're kind of there lying to the forum, trying to attack it because you want to know what's beyond it because they're behind every war. So you're on like a secret, like a 007 mission. Always. This was like the format. So just the emotional constraints are weird. Doesn't happen in a well-defined environment. Your thought follows the combination of those two things, which may more or less be being controlled at that point, and then you have this weird stasis of action, which is kind of what I think I want to talk about, because that would fit with damn near everything else. Not an actualization, but rather a know that I'm doing wrong and just ignoring it, pretending it isn't there, pretending to be asleep, people, And those three cultures are littered with those people. So there's a transcendence, there's an actual karmic transfer when you realize that the person in the room there with you is, seriously a fuckhead. After doing all that and you see their apex, you transfer from an unknown to a known, which might be the only positive situation on it because you have eyes on the battlefield, so to speak. They're tapped out at that point. So you're no longer kind of the little girl wandering around, asking the gentleman for information. You now have that information, which is weird. There's an upset of the relationship. In the back, you change some. You go through that. That's now something that has happened. I'm not arguing that this is like a meta reality or something like that. It's more like an attack. An unknown to a known, and then you're looking at the environment, and now that person is part of the environment rather than like your trusted buddy sort of thing. So this giant ass violence, right in the middle. And what it does, it's like it gets like kind of like fuzzy, like a little ball that happens here while she's calling you a slave, and then you're like, you accept it, you accept it, accept it, you accept it. And it's like you know it now. You know what she's saying. You know what you are to her. You know her environment, herself, yourself, and now you're subscribing to that environment, and then the only road of that environment is your decay, and you're sitting there like paying for it, sort of thing, which is not what other people do. This is just Bundas, because they think it's funny. Um, so we have those parts. We have the repetition of methodology. So you go through and you think you're done, think you're done, think you're done. Oh, just locked yourself in a cage. How'd that happen? You're just walking into evil, sort of thing. Not all women are like this. This is just this one particular strain that nobody wants to deal with. Because it's wrong on one hand and then evil on the other. It's like the smoke and mirrors thing. And then they're doing all of this to do the smoke and mirrors thing, while meanwhile all of the real stuff is going on completely and totally separate and uses a totally different non-reactionary physics. They can't control the physics that they have. Do you understand? That's not a religion. That's a mania. And then you're on the duality thing of once you're goddess slave thing, more conditioning or not, or not. And so you're sitting there now at the far end of the British shit of like you get hit and you say thank you, sort of thing. Your entire psychology is swapped. Then if you want to add in that apparently there's religious endorsement of this, you got a real different environment you're looking at. And so that's why they've been keeping it secret layered. And what are we going to do about this? Well, don't do this one.